I really have to give my wife a lot of credit for this because she knows me pretty well, and I've been vocal about some of my discomforts and concerns as far as living here in the United States. And over the years, I've been a prepper. I'm one of those kind of guys that's got bullets and guns and stockpile food and that kind of stuff because I've been waiting for the zombie apocalypse to happen someday. And of course, I look around and I'm very observant about all the things that are going on politically, geopolitically, socially, economically. And it's a lot of concern that I have. I'm a middle-aged man. I have two adult sons that, now have moved out of the home. And I've been married for 26 years. And at my age and at this time in life, I'm definitely looking for some security and safety and some things that are going to be predictable on some level. I'm certainly not looking for the sky to fall and the zombie apocalypse begins. And I've watched a lot of content that points to all the indicators that things are getting kind of crazy. But one thing that I noticed is that I'm always looking for a way out. I'm looking for a way out of this thing. I know years ago I kind of thought about it. Oh, it'd be great to travel. It'd be great to travel around and just escape for a little while. And then more recently, I've certainly wanted to move out of California. Move from California and maybe try a different state, maybe a state that's a little more conservative, that doesn't have as many problems and issues and conflicts like California does. And so, interesting enough, we were looking at YouTube one day, and I think I don't know, went to the bathroom or something, and my wife said, "Hey, babe, you should really check out this video." And I said, "Okay, sure." And I looked at a guy that said it was a video by Andrew Henderson, and it said something like, why move to a red state when it's going to be the same thing? I forget. I forget exactly what it was, but it implied that moving to another state, is that really going to be the answer for you? Is that enough? And I watched this guy, and I'm looking at him, and I'm first thinking, who is this guy talking about moving abroad and how moving to a red state is not good enough. You might be trying to get away from the tyranny, you might be getting away from the taxes and the economic folly that's going on around in your country, the social breakdowns that are going on, all of the petty conflicts that are going on. But are you really doing yourself better by going to just another state? Because after all, you're still in the same country. And a lot of the issues that we face in America are definitely stemming from the federal level, on the federal level. So whether we're talking about social issues or taxes or things like that, it's nationwide. And so what was interesting is this gentleman talked about how, this is all within the country. It's not just one state to another, it's the whole country. And he asked some questions, about, why do you feel like you have to stay in your country? Why do you have to feel loyal to your country of origin? Why not consider moving to another country? Go where you're treated best, he said. Go where you're treated best and discover how in other countries you might find much more favorable conditions to give yourself happiness, to bring happiness in your life and to enjoy more freedoms. And holy moly, I was blown away by how confident this guy was and how frank he was about the topic. And I realized that I'd never really considered the things that he was talking about. And of course, I dived into, he has a YouTube channel, Nomad Capitalist. And it turns out he wrote a book called The Nomad Capitalist. I don't know if you can see that. But The Nomad Capitalist is a book that I've started to read a little bit. I haven't gotten that far, but all of a sudden I realized that, man, people need to hear about this information, because I know since I was a kid, I've been hearing this term freedom, and we gotta, gotta get our freedom, fight for freedom. I've been a patriot. Oh, the America's the freest country in the world, and the Constitution gives us our freedoms and all these kinds of things. But at the end of the day, I don't feel very free. And of course, make some more money and you can enjoy freedom, financial freedom, and at the same time, I know a lot of people that make a lot of money, but either A, they work like slaves, or B, even though they have lots of money, they still seem to be a slave to the system, the American system. And while all that is true, looking at this idea of being a nomad capitalist and going where you're treated best, it certainly opens the door to alternatives that I never even considered before. Literally moving to another country, literally becoming a citizen of another country, literally having multiple passports, so that your government does not control you. So your government doesn't control you, or doesn't have as much control over you. For example, if there was to be, say, a pandemic again, let's say there's, an emergency situation like a pandemic, and your government says, sorry, you can't leave the country. Why? Because you have a US passport and we control you through your passport. We can tell you that you can and cannot go. Well, if you only got one passport, well, then that means you are a prisoner of your own country. With multiple passports, however, more than one, you open up the opportunities for you to travel outside of the US using another country's passport. Citizenship. Well, while you're a US citizen, remember, the US has quite a few constraints on you economically. Okay, if you leave the US and go temporarily stay in another country, whatever income you make away from the US, they can still tax you on that income. Meanwhile, there are countries out there that if you become a citizen of those countries, then they don't tax you to the same degree that the US does, and or they don't have the same policies on taxation that we have here in the US. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The fact is that there's a lot of reasons why you might want to become a nomad capitalist, someone who is location independent and even government independent, meaning that you can travel from one country to another and never quite have a home to where any government has control or authority over you and your money and your ability to enjoy freedom. And so this book has been quite life-changing, because it's opened up my mind in ways that I never have even considered. And I've been that guy. I've been the guy talking about financial freedom and, entrepreneurship and all these kinds of things. I've traveled the world and done all these things to present to people the idea that they need to become more successful by making more money, but didn't know that that was just such a small, limited view of actual freedom. Real freedom comes from the ability to be location independent, have a location independent lifestyle, and have location independent income. Thank you, Andrew Henderson, for writing this book and introducing me, of course, with millions of, well, maybe thousands of other people, because I don't know that millions are even awake to this kind of thing, but certainly thousands of people. Now, here's the thing. Mr. Henderson focuses his attention on the wealthy, 7- and 8-figure income earners. But don't let that fool you. That's his That's his business model. But the concepts, the wisdom that he shares with us in his books and on his YouTube channel and on his website are for everybody, anybody that'll listen. And I can tell you I'm listening and I'm learning from this guy. So my goal here is with this segment of my channel here, with this project on my channel here, is to actually just read the book openly with you and comment on the part, react and comment on the book as I read it. And maybe this will resonate with you. Certainly, I will suggest you get the book, whether it's the Audible or the audio or the actual paperback. Get it. Maybe read along. But I would love to hear your comments and your thoughts about this book as we read it. So please don't hesitate to comment in the comments and let me know your thoughts and your perspective. And maybe you have some insight on this whole idea of becoming a nomad capitalist, digital nomad, a 4-hour work week, or traveling the world, world traveler, nomad traveler, whatever it is. Maybe you have some insight on the idea yourself, and please continue to share that with us. So with that being said, in the next video, I will start reading from beginning to end and sharing my comments and commentary with you. All right. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in, and please subscribe to this channel if you want to know every time I drop a new video, reading this book, or any other information that I might share on this channel. And we'll stay connected. Okay. Thanks a lot.